Hey everybody, this is Jeff Newton. Today, the President of the United States, for lack of a better term, invaded a foreign country, snatched up its leader, and took him away to jail. And it's the press conference, just from my perspective, having covered a lot of these things in my life, I've never in my life seen anything like it. At least the first two speakers, Trump and Hegseth. To me, I've never heard such a rambling response from a president of the United States about something so significant and important. And it was eye-opening. What we know now, which we knew before if we were smart, is that he was lying. It wasn't really about drugs. I mean, this isn't about drugs. He's going to charge them with drug-related and gun-related stuff. But the press conference was pretty revealing. He didn't talk a lot about drugs in the press conference. He talked a lot about oil and putting our oil companies, specifically American oil companies, back into Venezuela where they can start pumping more oil. You heard what he said. He was almost angry when he said they haven't pumped very much oil. They haven't hardly any. It was almost like an accusation that oil in their own country's forests, there's just not, they haven't pumped enough of it, as if it was up to the President of the United States and America to determine how much oil Venezuela should be pumping. And there's a big argument that's gone on for a long time between rich oil companies and people who have no money in Venezuela as to who's really had the rights to the oil in their country. And there's legal documents and so forth, but you can make a pretty good argument that Western companies have gotten their fair share out of Venezuela. And that was what spurred a lot of people to decide that we're not going to let you do that anymore in Venezuelan governments. And some of those governments have been very corrupt and very using the argument for that to rally their people who had they were economically deprived. If you know anything about the state of Venezuela right now, there's lots of places where you can't get food and people don't have jobs. And it's been very difficult for the last couple of administrations there, dictators that have run the country. And it doesn't look a whole lot better, frankly. I mean, and even the person who won the Nobel Prize for Venezuela, when Trump was asked about whether she would be taking over the country from, she's the opposition party. Trump kind of waved that off like it's not, it's probably not going to happen, But, who's really going to run Venezuela? We learned today. It's going to be the United States. The United States is going to run Venezuela. We're going to send in people like Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth to help it get off the ground, as well as a lot of oil executives that are going to help run the country. But this was about drugs and fentanyl and cocaine, right? Which is largely made in Colombia. But that's what it's about. It's about drugs. So we had all those drug boats that look like fishing boats. And we put an armada off the coast of Venezuela, threatened them, forced Maduro to decide to leave, and he wouldn't, so they went and snatched him. So we have a political situation. And for the next couple of weeks, there's George barking. For the next couple of weeks, there is going to be no possible way to talk about things like ICE raids. There'll be no room in the headlines for things like, the Trump administration violating court orders. There'll be no room in the headlines for the Epstein files. I mean, you'll see some Epstein file stories, people working on it, but how can you really spend time talking about the Epstein files when we're literally going to take over a South American country? Until further notice, you won't be hearing arguments about healthcare, even though there's going to be a lot of people without it who can't afford it anymore. Because the Trump administration said, we just don't have the money for it. It's too expensive. We're not doing that. All these free subsidies under the Obama administration and Biden administration, they let them run out and it's their own damn problem. We don't have the money for it. And during that process, I think some people should start asking how much this operation cost. When you don't have billions of dollars for healthcare, you're cutting out hundreds of millions of dollars for healthcare. We should find out how much this operation in Venezuela cost. I mean, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, General Kane, said, let's just say, not use loaded language, said that this took months of planning. Months of planning. That's not tens of millions. That's billions of dollars. Billions. to go in and snatch 2 people, a wife, put her in handcuffs, and Maduro, put him in handcuffs, fly him up to New York and charge him with drug and guns crimes. So those are my initial thoughts, okay? I'm going to talk more about some other stuff later. I'll give some shout outs today. I want to give a shout out to Pete Hegseth. It's the only shout out I'm going to give you, Pete. Sorry, but I'm going to give you one today. And it is, you finally learned how to keep your signal chats out of the media. You finally figured out how to keep them semi-classified. Congratulations. I'm not saying you're not using the signal chats anymore, because I know you are. Talked to some people today who told me you still got signal chats going on. But nonetheless, what I would say is good job. At least you didn't put any reporters on your signal chat, your unclassified signal chats, which you still have working. Good job. So to Donald, I would say you hit a home run today, Mr. Trump. You managed to invade a foreign country and still make it to Mar-a-Lago in time so you can play golf today. That's unbelievable. You invaded a foreign country and didn't even address the media from the White House. You didn't address the nation from the White House, the people's house. You were down at your resort, up early, ready to talk about it from your resort where you play golf all weekend. Fantastic. You're so busy. So a couple shout outs. Marco Rubio, I got a shout out for you as well. You really defended President Trump really well when you said, this is a guy who, when he says he's going to do something, I hope the world understands he's going to do it. He's going to do it, people. So he's the guy. I've watched him do that, you said, his whole presidency. And what I would say to that is he really has not. The Epstein files, they passed a law that said you had to release them by a certain date, and you still have not met that law. And tons of pages from the stuff you have released are completely blacked out, as black as a computer screen that's turned off, all of them. And that was meant to protect the victims. All you need to do is cut out the victims' names. That's all you got to do. Blacking out whole pages and saying you're protecting the victims' names is not, it wouldn't, in a FOIA court hearing, if you're trying to get those records released from secrecy or whatever you might have them under FOIA, in this case, judicial records, you're trying to protect victims. First of all, a lot of those victims, you put their names anyways, and then you blacked out whole pages that could give us an understanding of the people who were involved who are not victims. So, no, you don't always do what you say you're going to do. Marco, don't say that. It's disingenuous. But the rest of the stuff, you sounded really diplomatic. I give you credit for that. Good job. Pete, your rah-rah speech, patriot speech, and all that kind of stuff, that was great. You're really good at that, that and doing push-ups and pull-ups, amazing. More later about this operation and things going forward.